Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Hi, Shamshad. We're giving it a good crack here.
Excellent. Well, it's lovely to actually meet you because I've never really got the chance to talk to you properly. So I'm really interested to hear your story about coaching. So, first of all, I'm a bit curious. Coaching,
Mm,
counseling,
yeah.
consulting. Is there a demarcation between all of those? Like, what is the difference?
Wow. Um, to kind of in a nutshell, really, I would say that coaching is a little bit of all those things, but then it's not. And so the point is, for example, if counseling tends to be kind of reactive, looking back at something, there may be some issue that's happened in life. Somebody needs to unpack something. They've had some kind of traumatic or grieving type of experience, or maybe they've addictive personalities or whatever it happens to be. And there's specialist support for that. And they've identified that they need that counseling, or maybe they're going through a rough patch and they really need something because there's a recurring pattern or something that's happening that they need to sort out. Consulting, for example, is that I've got the answers, I've got the solution, I'm going to fly in or parachute in, and I'm going to basically provide a system or a program or a way of doing things that's going to boost the business or set the organization up. And then coaching is a bit more proactive, where you happen to be now in the present, and you look like you want to optimize or upgrade or uplift one's life to a better quality or a better standard of living that you feel that you deserve. So the coaching bit of it is like we're very much looking in where we are now, and then where it is that we want to go and where it is that we want to be, and then there'll be incremental steps along the way. So if someone says, oh, I have a 10-year plan, it's like, wow, that's a huge gap. I need to break that down a bit, and let's get into something that's a bit more manageable, and we'll look at that and how you, as you, the person yourself, being very different than the person next to you, what's optimal for you to do that will help you get there, because one's measure of success is going to be different than someone else's. So what success for me is like, I have more family quality time. Someone else's success is I want to drive a Lambo, whatever. So it's
Yeah.
going to be different, but success is still the same thing.
And what value do you think coaching brings? So, can I ask, have you ever been coached and what value did it bring to you, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, um, I think, well, coaching, I think a lot of us probably are doing it, and anybody who's been in a team or worked as a group has done some element of coaching if they've had some capacity where they've tried to get people working together. If they've had a leadership role or a managerial role or some level where they've helped people get there, and some people just needed that nudge or support. So they've probably done some elements of coaching along the way, which is kind of what I was doing. It was really an opportunity for me that came along working in kind of the green energy, sustainable development space. I grew up abroad. I've been a nomad, pretty much expat all my life. Lived and worked in different capacities and stages from the age of 2 onwards, in 10 countries, and traveled to, I don't know, shy of 100. I mean, it's 90 something. And with all that kind of exposure of how different cultures and people do things has given me a lot of insights to different problem solving or solutions or whatever it might be. But in those countries, I mean, I was in a family that were academics. So being enterprising wasn't really the thing. It doesn't mean that we intellectually don't understand it. Of course we do. We know what the words mean. But to run a business, that wasn't what my family did. My family were academics. And yet I was enterprising and I wanted to find ways to do that. But I couldn't always do that. And it just wasn't the environment to do that. I had to go seek it out elsewhere. And sometimes I got frustrated. I didn't really know the questions to ask because I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I went the academic route as well. I went and got a degree and I did all that, and it wasn't easy. I paid my own way and so forth and so on. It was, it was a slog. I had 3 jobs. I was buying and selling cars and making money and putting together study resources, of selling off study guides to my peers and doing all kinds of crazy things to get cash in pocket. And I was kind of like, I'm on to something, but I'm just not there yet. And it was an opportunity that I'd met with someone at university who, I'd lived my part of my life in East Africa, and they had gone on and got married into one of the person with Tanzanian wife. And so we had kind of this common ground of East African connections and so forth and so on. And this opportunity came along for us with because of the post-Rwandan genocide. There was the diaspora in Tanzania. There's a huge community, and there's a lot of people there who are looking to go back and rebuild the country after the atrocities. And so we were making connections. In my own experience of having been in East Africa, I knew a lot of people as well. There's a network, but I was living in the UK. And then, of course, my partner, where I'd been from, was from the States. So in collaboration of US investors, UK investors, and some of the companies, the stakeholders on the ground in Kenya. And I just thought, I'll just do some consulting work. I'll just, get a fee and do the job, and off we go. But I just wasn't really, when all of a sudden we started talking to people, I was just like, wow, I'm so out of my depth. I'm so like, I was committed. I obviously, wanted to do this, but I was like, God, I really got some things to sort out here. We're talking, big projects, big money here. And I was just, I could see the problem, but I couldn't find the solution. And I went and got coached. And after various sessions, I realized that I had money issues. I had kind of financial blocks. I had stuff that I inherited from my my working class background of my grandfather, who was, he's a boy done good, worked from nothing to something. But as far as this idea of wealth and rich people, investors, there was a bit of stuff around that for me. And when I realized that, through coaching and key questions and key processes and kind of things that I went through, I realized that I was the one in the way. It wasn't them, it was me. And through those epiphanies and aha moments and processing, I ended up being able to wade into these negotiations and wander into the networking fields or be up on a stage and talk to other investors, with ease, because I could do that anyway, but I couldn't do it contextually. It's like, wow, you throw a few zeros under there and my palms would sweat. That kind of thing. And after that, next thing I know, I was jet setting. I was having beers with presidents and high investors. I was just like, oh how did I get here? And it was literally, I got out of my own way because somebody worked with me to identify that it was not external, it was internal. And once I
that is the power of coaching.
That was my experience of coaching. So for me, the power of coaching is just that, like a champion, the Serenas and the Federers of the world, they are so good at their craft. They probably don't need coachings per se, but because there's someone else chomping at their heels who also wants to be champion, they're always wanting to up their game. Let's look at the Nadal-Federer rivalry. Nadal is like, I want a piece of that. I want a piece of those trophies. So there's competition out there. So they're trying to up their game. And so a coach who kind of understands the game came in and said, look, if you just fine tune that and you do this, and by the time, when that happens, you get really upset with yourself and you start getting into that negative self-chat. You need to pay attention to that because it's affecting your game. Oh, really? I never noticed, blah, blah, blah. Their coaches kind of spotlight those things. And then that's what then they go in and they do it, because the thinking is this. Henry Ford said it like this: whether you think you can and whether you think you can't, you're right. And we know that in order to win games, if you walk in believing you've already lost, you've pretty much have already put a mountain in your way. So if you walk in thinking, I'm going to win this, of course you're up against the other person thinking they're going to win it. But the point is that you have a better chance believing you can win it than if you believe you've lost it already. So the power. Go ahead.
Sorry, Andrew. So can I ask, what is it that you spotlight for other people? So what is it that you help other people with if they were to come to you as a coach?
Well, because I've been, dare I say, in the trenches, because I've also been fortunate enough to be up in the helicopters as well. So, that's the beauty of it. So the experience of that, of having done it, you talk to a lot of people going, I want to make $1 million. And it's like, well, okay, have you ever done it? And they're like, no. And how much have you made? Well, I'm lucky if I made 30, 35 in a year. Wow. Okay. And you want to jump to $1 million. So do you know how to do that? And they're like, I haven't got a clue. Okay, well, you need to go find out. And that's why if you look at a lot of businesses, they have all the debt of borrowing money. They take their first dollar and they frame it and stick it on the wall because that was the toughest dollar they ever made in their life, was to get that dollar. Everything else is profit after that. So they're like, that's important. Same thing with a million. If the first million is, they'll say it's the hardest ever. After that, you know how to do it, and you go and make a bunch more, or you lose it and then they come back really quickly and do it again because they know how to do it. So unless it's experience, it's really difficult to do these things. So a coach can come in and say, okay, let's do these things, but let's do them in a manner that's realistic. Let's do them in the manner that's in your power play. Let's do things that are basically in your, not your comfort zone, because you're actually stretching yourself. You want to get out of your comfort zone. So you're looking to change the game and tap into the resources, because we're all resourceful, and that challenging ourselves is when we know how. So like when we have kids, if you've ever been a parent and have kids, it's like, no, just because they're climbing up the ladder, they may fall and break their arm, but you might want to let them do it because otherwise they'll never learn. You don't want them to break their arm. You catch them, but let them climb the ladder. Otherwise they don't know how to do it. So similarly with a coach is that you're enabling them to tap into what they already have. And if they don't have it, they identify where they can go get it or what they need to do about it. So in my instance, there are people, for example, who, as we know with COVID, the companies are gone. They've lost their jobs. Or there is no job security anyway. Those days are gone. They're really, they've got enough self-respect to go, I'm sick and tired of begging for a holiday. I mean, this is just, it's just not on. I'm like, I've got too much self-worth for that. I want to start my own gig. I want to have a sideline gig. I need some extra cash. I'm about to have somebody go, I've got a teen who's about to go off to uni. I've got bills, whatever it may be. Or they want to make an impact on the world, raise up their community. Whatever it is that's motivating them, they are motivated for change or uplift or whatever they want to do. So maybe they want to get into the business space. So, or they want to get into their own entrepreneurial space, or they just want more free time at home. So they need to work from home, but they'll still do their job. They're a bit freaked out about it. So where I help them is saying, well, firstly, you can do it, and identifying their key, I guess their kind of container of resources and powers within themselves to enable them to do it. I'm not telling them what to do. They want to do it. I'm enabling them to go from, say, being an offline bricks and mortar business that now COVID has said you can't do, to an online virtual type business where they're like, wow, I need to get into the internet. Technology is freaking me out, and oh my God, it's scaring me. I've never done this before. It's like, okay, there's a lot of people doing it and they're still going strong and they're not alive. It's not gonna, it's not gonna do you in per se. So the coaching element is somebody who wants to make that transition. They want to make that transformation. My support or my coaching is there to help facilitate in a safe space that they can take that journey and it's theirs to take, as opposed to many people think, I could never be wealthy. That's for those other people. And it's like, no, it's for you too. You just don't know it yet.
They just need to believe, don't they, Andrew?
Exactly. So it depends on the context. So whether it's a business, whether they want to be entrepreneurial, because they're not the same thing. And that's a clarification that's key. People want to have a business, but being entrepreneurial is slightly different because there's innovation in there. Or they are a different stage of life. So for example, they're becoming a new family. They want to work from home. They want to be able to drop their kids off at school instead of being stuck on a train somewhere. So they want to work from home. They don't want to miss the football matches. They want to work from home. They want to walk their kids to school. They want to work from home. So they're parents who want to be business or entrepreneurial. So that's one group of people that I work with a lot. I'm a parent, I'm a dad, and I've done it. So those are the people I like to work with, particularly moms and dads. And it could be new families, middle families, or empty nesters soon to be. And then the next bit is people who want to upgrade their lives because they know there's something better. They're just not in their game. They're not, they're doing a job they hate and they're just like, enough already. I want to be impactful. I want to uplift the world. There's a lot of people out there I can help, my community, Moss Temple Church, people that are really important to me, people from my heritage in another country that I've come from. I want to give back, but they just haven't quite got the means or the wherewithal in their head to do it. And they're thinking, I can't do it. And when in fact they can do it and they're motivated to do it. I would help them. So that's kind of like life, personal development coaching as well.
So there's a lot of scope um, in order to achieve their vision and step into who it is that they really want to be. And I love your name, Knowledge Adventurer. So where can people find you as the Knowledge Adventurer, Andrew?
Well, adventure, because I've grown up with a life of adventure. So I guess that's the connection. But I see life and our experience here in our lives here as an amazing journey. Not always easy, but an amazing journey. And I think we're born with, you know, intelligence. We're born with information in our DNA. And then there's, that's the nature bit. And then there's the nurture bit, what our education, our parental influences, our surroundings, the media, whatever it is that we gravitate towards. And sometimes those things uplift us and upraise, or they kind of get us stuck in places that aren't particularly serving us. But that's knowledge. So once we've identified through coaching what is particularly resourceful and service, as opposed to disservice or disenabling and disempowering, what would empower, enable, and uplift, explore it and discover that, applying it to the life. So you'll see Knowledge Adventure on a lot of my stuff, so that's already out there. But effectively, my webpage is www, and then it's adventure-life-coaching.com. And then, of course, the Facebook area, which is literally my name, which is Andrew R. Mullins. And then, therefore, you'll land on it and you'll see Knowledge Adventure, so you know you're in the right place. I also have a group that I put together to bring people together in a safe space to talk about how can I transform my purpose or my passion for the things I love to do into prosperity. And my personal, and I share it with others, is the definition of prosperity is it's basically wealth with purpose. So that's the group that I do, and I've got the my LinkedIn that is rekindling, because obviously my previous one was geared towards my previous work. So this is more my coaching. So you'll find that again, Andrew R. Mullins. And then this particular coaching community space, I'm throughout here and in the various formats. And so if you're looking for a personal life coach, or you're looking for a business, career, leadership type coach, I'm in those profile spaces. And lastly, interestingly enough, because of the community that I've been with in my own journey of coaching, is I coach coaches. So there's a lot of people who are incredibly empathic, who are incredibly of service. They come from the heart. They want to really help people out, but they're scared of business, or they're tripped up with technology. They just, again, getting in their own way on the little things, the practicals, when in fact, let's get the value of what they bring and help people. And that's kind of where I see it is so I help coaches do that as well.
That's absolutely awesome. That's awesome. Well, I've loved speaking to you today, Andrew, and I wish you all the best in your adventures and knowledge as a knowledge adventurer. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamshad, and thanks for again another path in the trail of the journey of life. So thank you for that. It's been great.